first topic we were going to talk about today was certain Mariners moves, but I thought I'd try to introduce it in an interesting way. So I want to talk about the cursed autographed bat. So first, Jesus Montero got this bat when the Mariners signed Jesus Montero when everybody said he was going to rake. They tried to move him to first base from catcher. It did not work out. Now he's probably best known for an ice cream sandwich incident. Second, Justin Smoke, the smoke bomb. Justin was supposed to be the Mariners' first baseman. Did not work out. Had better years with the Toronto Blue Jays. And then we have this bat that I had signed by a former Mariners All-Star, Ty France, who, as of today, was put on outright waivers and may or may not end up staying with the Mariners, depending on the results of the waivers. So, the moral of this story is do not have somebody who's supposed to play first base sign a bat for the Mariners, because whatever happens, they just don't seem to pan out. So, but that gets me to the topic of Ty France. What do you guys think about the Mariners putting Ty France on outright waivers?
So I got a question for you. Didn't you get that signed during Ty France's All-Star season?
Yes, you were with me. In fact, we went to the signing together.
He's done absolutely terrible ever since. So Ty Locklear is about to be the new first baseman and get everyday first bats for the Mariners. Top 100 prospect in all of baseball. Are you going to get his bat signed by Ty France or not?
I have a bat signed by Ty France. I will probably not get Tyler Locklear to sign a bat if I'm given the option. Probably go with a photo if I'm given the option. And I have other bats over here of Mariners who Robinson Cano was more valuable when I got it signed than it is now. Little things like it seems that unless you already have a Hall of Famer who's already retired, don't get a bat. It seems like it's a way to curse that player. Personally, I like Ty France. I think Ty France is a good first baseman. I think he's been a good Mariner. But he struggled the last year or so, or year and a half now. The reason the Mariners put him on waivers most likely is to see if somebody else will pick him up and take that contract. But if nobody picks him up in the next 48 hours, he'll clear through waivers and they can either release him or try to assign him to AAA. Because he's a veteran, he has the option of opting out of that if they try to assign him to AAA. So I really think that most teams are probably going to pass on picking up his waiver because if the Mariners are truly getting rid of him, he'll probably be a free agent and a much cheaper free agent in a couple of days. The other option, if he passes through waivers, the Mariners could just elect to keep him on the roster. But Ty France being put on waivers, I think, is a very interesting thing because it really is. It seems like they're trying to clear out some salary in a way or simply try to move Ty France to AAA because if somebody picks him up, then the salary will go away. And are they trying to do that for a reason? Is Tyler Locklear really the end all be all first base? Or are they trying to clear some salary so they can trade for, say, a Vlad Guerrero Jr., somebody like that? Yeah, I think we're gonna have to keep wait and see on it and see what happens with that. I don't see Ty France going to AAA. I mean, I think it'd be a fun game to go watch him play in Tacoma, but I don't see that happening. But so one way or another, I think he's going to end up on another team. I was trying to figure out what teams might want him right now. Do you have any thoughts about what either of you guys have any thoughts of what teams might want to pick up Ty France at his current salary?
Well, who needs a first baseman?
I thought my first thought was the Yankees, because they have Anthony Rizzo's on the injured reserve list, but they've got Ben Rice, who's been picking up. Okay, he's only hitting 211, but he's got 6 home runs recently, so he's got some pop, and he's a rookie. So I don't know if they necessarily want to pick up another first baseman at the price that Ty France would take, while they're waiting for Rizzo to come back off the IL. So other than that, I don't know that there's too many teams that really would be looking for a first baseman right now, especially one who's only hitting 224. So
what makes you think that they would want to move on from Ty? Like, do you think that if they can keep him, they're going to try to keep him?
well, I mean, he's been a valuable part of the team. He does have some pop here and there. When he's hitting, he's hitting. I mean, for most for about half the season, his batting average was toward the top of the team. Um, but when he's slumping, he's slumping. That's the problem with Ty France. Very streaky hitter. He's either really really good or really really bad when it comes to, to his batting average. So he gets on base a lot, though. I mean, you don't forget how he leads the team in hit by pitch. The amount of times he gets hit by a pitch actually increases his on base percentage quite a bit. But he's not fast when he's on base. So I don't know. I don't know if the Mariners are truly looking to move on and just get at bats for Tyler Locklear, or if they're trying to clear something up for a potential move.
So I have something to add to that. I think Ty France is going to be the first baseman of the future for the Mariners. I think he's going to be a solid player. He's going to bat 260 to 270. He's going to be that guy that you can count on for 15, 20 home runs a year. Play good defensive first base. He may make an all-star or two throughout his career, but he's not going to be a Hall of Famer or anything like that. But the Mariners right now, because DePoto came out and said that right now people are wanting way too much for any players whatsoever, because adding that extra wild card spot has just made it to where there's way too many teams in the mix. So I think that the Mariners, but the most telling move that they made was not just cutting Ty France. They traded Mike Baumann for cash. I think they're getting ready to sign somebody, because I think our
Well,
farm system's really, 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 really good. And the Mariners, we got rid of Ty France because he's underperforming. We expect better things and more consistency from Tyler Locklear. I think they pick up a veteran bat. I think they get somebody that when we hit playoff runs, they can pinch hit or something like that and come in and make an impact without more so than not being an everyday player. I think we don't trade for a big name like Vladimir Guerrero or anything like that, because we have a lot of contracts coming up like Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and all of them. We have Bryce Miller, Brian Wu. We have all those guys under club control for numerous years with the number one farm system in all of baseball, with every top 100 prospect that we have being a hitter.
well, yeah, but if they're bringing in Tyler, if the plan truly is to have Tyler Locklear play first base, he wasn't hitting any better than Ty France when he was up. I mean, so
But
I
is
don't know.
his ceiling
There's
higher?
I don't know. I mean, when you look at Ty France's ceiling, his ceiling was what he did when he was an All Star. I mean, so I don't know if Tyler Locklear's ceiling's higher. It makes me really curious because DePoto was talking about wanting to make a big move, but not having there not being very many teams that are sellers. The Toronto Blue Jays are one team that I think you could talk about being a possible seller right now. They're 15 games out of their division. They're 9.5 games out of the wild card slot. Um, Frankly, they're probably in the American League the team that is most likely to be a seller. The question is, could we get a first baseman like Vlad, or could the Mariners get a first baseman like Vlad Guerrero Jr. from the Blue Jays, and what would that take? But is the outright waiver of Ty France an indication that that's something they're trying to do, or is it truly they're just opening up at bats for Tyler Locklear and clearing out some payroll, or trying to?
So looking at Locklear, he has 30 at bats in the major league roster this year. It's hard to say like what he's actually going to do in just 30 at bats, where he was playing inconsistently. Imagine if he has everyday at bats. I guarantee, mark my words on this, he bats 250 or better the rest of the season if he plays, routinely every day and gets that bats. Because it's hard for a player, especially a young player, to come up and be in a role player position, because they need to see the pitching every day. They need to be able to get hot, get cold, all that, and adjust. He wasn't given an opportunity when he came up last time. He had some good games, some bad games, and they'd bench him for a bit. Then he'd come out cold. Then he'd play a couple games, then get hot. And, 30 at bats isn't very much of a sample size to say that, France was playing so much better. And Locklear, after playing third base and stuff, I feel like it could be a better defensive first baseman and provide value there, where France, he was good, but it's not like he was a gold glove winner.
Do you think that the Mariners will try to pick up anybody at the trade deadline at this point, or do you think that there's not enough sellers and there's not enough options for them to pick up anybody. Because the thing in the back of my mind I can't get out of my head is if you're going to get rid of a veteran first baseman or try to get rid of a veteran first baseman, I truly don't believe they'll actually be able to get rid of him off waivers. I think it'll probably be a post trade deadline uh, uh, waiver after they'll waive him again after the trade deadline or something of that nature would be my guess, because I don't think they're going to be able to, or they'll just have to cut him if they're going to send him to AAA. But do you think maybe cutting the first baseman, who's a veteran player, who's part of the core of the team, do you think that is a signal that they're trying to bring somebody in?
I think they're going to bring in a veteran presence like they did with Carlos Santana. He helps the young players play better. They're going to be looking for somebody who's that veteran clubhouse presence that can help the young players be better more so than perform themselves and not be an everyday player.
I don't know that I see them going free agent for first base. I would see that probably more at second base than I'd see it at first. The only way I could see it at first base is kind of what we were talking to each other about last week, which was if we go for that veteran presence to kind of lift Julio up, then I could see that happening at first base. But I don't know. I just don't have the feel. I feel like we're gonna go with Locklear and see what he can bring out. It's if we would have won these games coming out of the All-Star break, I would feel a lot more confident with just thinking that that Jerry and all them would just be cool with rolling with the roster that we got. But now I think this is starting to force their hand a little bit. But where they put that hand, I'm not sure.
That's a good question, though. Is calling up Tyler Locklear the answer to the Mariners' woes? Tyler Locklear, when he's in his 30 at bats, nothing against Tyler Locklear, wasn't a world beater in his 30 at bats. He's not somebody who you say, all right, this is our new first baseman, and we're going to start winning some games.
I don't think we need to get a world beater at first base, though. I think that's my whole point. I don't think we need to waste those resources on first base.
I think if the Mariners are are looking at the fact that they blew a 10-game lead going into the All-Star break, they're now tied with the Astros after dropping 2 out of 3 to the Astros, and they need to do something. And I think they know they need to do something. Yeah. But bringing up a rookie minor leaguer to play first base to replace a veteran, I don't think that move in and of itself is going to really do much of anything.
It's not like Ty France was being a world beater. That's why I think it would be okay to have Locklear come in. And I personally would like to see us go after somebody like Jazz Chisholm from Miami for second base.
We have Cole Young, our top prospect, right? He's projected to play second base because of J.P. Crawford. He's been playing short and stuff. And when he's projected to come up in 2025, a player that's supposed to be really, really good and a potential multiple-year all-star, are you going to sell a whole bunch of prospects for another strikeout person?
Yeah, but are you also going to put all your confidence in somebody that's doing great in minor leagues, but you're going to put all that faith into a second baseman that's coming up, and you just think he's going to come out swinging like that? I don't know. Baseball's too complicated for that.
The trade deadline's 9 days away right now. Then the only trade the Mariners have made so far is to trade Mike Baumann for cash considerations. In my mind, the move to cut Ty France 3 games after the All-Star break, there should be a reason for it, if that makes sense. And I don't believe it would be just to get Tyler Locklear at bats. So
you can't just think only inside the box. Like, you got to go outside a little bit. Is it possible then? Let me ask you this: is it possible then that they do have faith in Locklear coming up, but they're rearranging that money to get a second baseman or a different position?
It's possible. I don't know if that's going to work out for them, though, because if they end up having to cut Ty France, they're not going to save the money on it. So the only way they save the money is if somebody picks him up off waivers. And I think he has a good enough track record 2 years ago that somebody might do that, but I don't see too many teams that are hungry for a first baseman right now. So I think the odds of somebody picking Ty France up off waivers is pretty low. So I don't know that that's actually going to save money for the Mariners in the long run, one way or another.
If somebody really wanted him, they wouldn't have just put him on waivers. They would have just traded him for cash or some prospect or something like that. So I think Joe has a valid point that, odds are he's going to come off of waivers and this isn't going to be something where it saves us hardly any money.
I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is truly just a move to bring Tyler Locklear in, make a splash in the roster, something of that nature. Ty France has had enough moments where he is a bat that they could rely on. That it just seems like an odd move to me.
It seems like these last couple trades we've done, we've just received cash, and that makes me start to wonder why we're doing that as well.
And then you start looking about first cutting your first baseman. Is it just about cash? Is Tyler Locklear going to be the first baseman? Then you're looking for, say, a Jazz Chisholm, or are they truly trying to find a new first baseman like Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks, who I don't think the Diamondbacks will trade because they're moving up in the standings.
What
Guerrero,
about Pittsburgh with Rowdy Tellez?
he's hitting, I think, 243 right now. I don't. I mean, I could see maybe them picking up Ty to be a backup or to compete with them. But I don't
Well,
see
how
them
about
actually
us?
picking him up. I don't see the Mariners picking him up. I hope the Mariners picking.
We're being a little bit too impatient. We have so many hitters that are on their way up. And I know every hitter and everything doesn't pan out, but right now with our farm system, are we going to be sacrificing our future to try to win this year when nobody's hitting? It's not one player that's all of a sudden going to fix our team this year.
No. No, I think that's the difficult part to answer too, is because I know how I could answer this of what I would like to see us do, but I know how the Mariners can be. Like this isn't new for Mariners fans. Like we're used to we're used to seeing names come up in the Mariners, not jumping on them by any means. So I also got to try to, to the best of my ability, understand the way they're trying to diagnose this situation, but at the same time, based off of their history, uh, I almost see them going more with our younger guys than trying to reach out for that splash.
Well, right now, the pitching rotation is historically good. I I'm concerned that they don't do something to get some bats hitting. It doesn't even seem like it needs to be that much. I mean, they had a 10 game lead with striking out more than any other team in the league. Just some spark with the batting could be enough to push them over the top to get them into the playoffs. And with the rotation they have, especially with Castillo, Kirby, and Logan Gilbert, that rotation if they get into the playoffs, they can make a push. They just need a couple of bats. So I do think that one or two bats, somebody's going to push Julio. Julio has been heated up quite a bit in the month of July. Hopefully, he's able to keep that. Hurt his ankle tonight, so we have to wait and see what happens with that. But if Julio is able to continue staying hot like he's been in July, adding one or two other bats that are going to stick to that, maybe Julio, Victor Robles stays hot, and one other bat, then you'd have significant portion of the lineup, a third of the lineup, that people would start to fear, and maybe that starts resulting in more runs.
Yeah, but is one bat going to fix the problem?
I think that goes back to my belief with the Mariners for like my motto for the Mariners for this season, which is this team just goes as far as Julio goes. If Julio can come back and somehow get on some hot streak, and then whoever we pick up is also a big bat, that's a lot. That's quite a bit. And then like you were sounded like you were about to say the spark. It would spark
Yeah,
this team, especially with two guys going off.
yeah, and then you add Cal in there, he'll be 210, 215 hitter, keep hitting bombs, and you have it'll end up adding up to runs. And if Victor Robles can stay hot, um, there's a lot of different things that go into that. But I do think one good bat that pushes Julio and says, Julio, you have to demonstrate you're the best bat on this team because we've got somebody who's gonna push you for it. That could provide the spark to make the Mariners lead the Mariners on a run. If they do nothing right now, they probably aren't even going to be in the wild card. The season ended today, and Houston. If Houston were we're leading our division today, the Mariners division today, and the season ended, the Mariners would not make the wild card.
Do you think we could be going for somebody? Do you think Arizona would be somebody that would be a willing trade partner for like a Christian Walker for first base?
I don't think so. I mean, I would be all for that, but I don't think they'd be willing to do it because Arizona, I think, is now 3 games above 500. They're finally starting to push, and they made the World Series last year, so I don't think they're in sell mode. I think they still have a chance. So I think that it'd be difficult to get them to sell a piece that's actually helping their their push right now.
Well, I guess it also depends on who their next guy up at first base is, but I'm just saying, not so much like a sell thing. Maybe we could give them something they need.
I don't think that they're going to trade anybody that's worth our while that could contribute right now unless we mortgaged our farm system. And I don't think Dipoto and them are willing to do that.
For a Christian Walker, that no one's going to expect that.
Maybe they throw some pitching in there. Maybe like I
That's,
heard a rumor that Brian Wu was pitching instead of Logan Gilbert because they were trying to showcase that he's healthy. Um, I don't know that that's true, but maybe if you're looking to throw in a Brian Wu with some private prospects, maybe you can entice somebody by saying we're going to give up one of our great starting pitchers to help you with your push. Um, but I think short of doing something like that, I don't think Arizona is going to do would be interested.
I think the Mariners are doing more what we talked about last podcast, which is they're sandwiching Wu between Gilbert and Kirby. Because we know Wu isn't throwing more than 60, 70 pitches a night. So if he goes a short time, the bullpen's going to be tired. So if you put him between Kirby and Gilbert, it helps save our bullpen. Then you put Gilbert, and then you have Miller, followed by Castillo. Then it's going to help save our bullpen and save the innings. So they're not going to have to go with Miller and Wu back to back pitching long games 2 nights in a row potentially, which I think is amazing by the Mariners that they're actually doing that. But I think it's more strategy because the two biggest risks for the bullpen going long nights, they split up between, you know, our top three.
I truly don't think the Mariners are looking to trade one of the starting pitchers unless it's like Emerson Hancock or a Logan Evans, maybe. But I think it would take something like that, Brian Wu or Bryce Miller, in order to entice one of these teams that are actually in the hunt to give up a bat that's actually going to be worth it. Um, which is why I wondered about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because the Blue Jays are a team that I don't believe is in the hunt.
yeah, it's interesting for sure. How did you guys? What did you guys think about Kirby's performance?
I think the Mariners wasted Kirby's performance.
What do you go six?
I was there. I was gonna say I was there, and Kirby was he was on fire, just playing really well, and like at home. And recently, he started off the year kind of rough, but if you look back over the past month, month and a half, Kirby's really kind of picked it up. So I can say that he looked sharp last night. I mean, he looked good, but I feel like the Mariners aren't giving him the run support recently when he's pitching well, kind of like they did with Felix.
Right.
And the same thing happens to Logan Gilbert too. I mean, before the All Star break, Logan Gilbert threw absolute gem and they dropped it. So
Yeah.
there's too many absolute gems that are getting dropped by not having enough offense,
Yeah, exactly.
which is why I keep going back to they have to think about something. It can't be just okay. We're going to cut Ty France and bring up Tyler Locklear. There's got to be something else. Otherwise, if nothing else happens, I don't see the season going all that well.
I think they need to call
So
up Cole Young for second base, drop Polanco, put him on waivers, save money, have Bliss and Cole Young battle it out for second base, have Locklear at first, call up, maybe I know next year I think it's maybe a little early, but Lazaro Montez is hitting the ball lights out. Move him up to double A or something like that. I know he's slowed down after he got to A+, but I think that we need to look within, cut some of these big names, cut Mitch Garver, cut Polanco, get rid of Haniger, because we have these veteran presence that we're playing every single night that are doing nothing but hurting our team more. Get these young players who are motivated to play well up in the majors, cut those guys, save the salary cap space, get a veteran presence or a bat or something like that, and I think we'd be better off.
yeah, but I don't think the Mariners are going to say, "Hey, here you go, rookies. We just cut our veterans. We're moving you up from double A or high single A. Good luck. Welcome to the show. Now we're in a playoff run. We cut four of our veterans. Good luck." I don't think they're going to do that.
But out of those three, I gotta say, I mean, and this is tough for me to say because I love him so much, but I think Haniger's got to go.
I think Haniger provides a lot of the veteran presence on the team, to be honest.
But what's that getting us?
I mean, Haniger would be fine as a veteran presence, but playing him almost every day like we are right now, or playing him all the time isn't going to get us there. These players, we're paying them more than Mariners like to pay, and they're not doing anything. So what are we gonna do to get a veteran present? Like, should we move them to playing like utility roles where they're not playing every day and Haniger comes in the ninth inning and those sort of things, or plays like maybe once a week or has an at bat here and there or something? Because right now it's not working with him playing every day.
Yeah, I still don't think they're going to bring a whole bunch of rookies up and say, "Welcome to the show. Show now, go win us a pennant." I don't see that happening. So
No, like I said, it would be like one guy. I could see that out of those three that you named. I could see one guy getting shipped off. I don't know if they would do all that at the same time. I do think it'd be wise to get some young guys out in the outfield, though, and that's another reason why I said Haniger. The more time we could get some of these younger guys that are coming up through our system to have them play around Julio, I think that would be, we need to maximize that for sure.
so Seahawks. Who? What are we excited about for the Seahawks?
So for me, I gotta say it's gonna be defense, just because of the big elephant in the room, which is the new coach. And when we got destroyed by Baltimore last year, uh, it made me think during the game, like, dang, it'd be cool to have that type of defense. So for sure, just the overall defense as a whole, I know it's kind of a cop out, but I'd say because of the new coach and the new schemes that he brings, and the fact that he's very much like our guys are going to be able to rest because he rotates players in and out, and it just makes it so hard to keep up with what he's doing defensively.
I agree with you. The defense is something to be excited about. I'm concerned about the linebacking core right now. The Seahawks got rid of they let Bobby Wagner go. They let Jordan Brooks walk. They picked up a couple of more coverage linebackers who I think will fit well into Mike McDonald's system. But right now they're both on the pup list, so I don't know that either one of them are getting to that position where they're able to pick up the defense and really lead the defense. So it makes me a little bit concerned about the linebackers. I think if they get off the pup list in time for the season to start and strike that in time for to actually learn the defense and become leaders in the defense before the season starts, the defense is going to be amazing. But if that doesn't happen, I have some concern about who's going to be the captain on the field without Bobby Wagner.
I think the biggest issue for the Seahawks is safety. I think that the Seahawks, if they could bring in somebody at safety, would be the biggest help to this team. Obviously, injuries and stuff. I think they're going to come back. They're going to be playing early in the season. They'll have enough time to learn. Because you have to remember, the biggest thing about Mike McDonald is keeps it simple for the defense, but complex for the offense. So I don't think it's going to be too difficult because he's brought in so many players before that have in their first year had such a turnaround. So I don't necessarily think that's the major issue at linebacker. I think that we need another safety in order to be able to round out the whole defense.
I am excited. I am very excited about the defensive line with Byron Murphy being added to it. Also, really excited about the cornerbacks. I want to see if Spoon can take a step forward. See if Tariq Woolen can get back to where he was. Mike Jackson maybe steps up more. So I'm excited about the cornerback they have on the team. Excited to see what Mike McDonald can get out of them. Defensive line looks to be vastly improved, at least on paper. So the thing that concerns me though is linebacker. Right, I want the linebackers to get healthy so that they can actually start working with the defense.
Jake, you said your concern was safety. I did remember that the Seahawks they signed that Kayvon Wallace. Do you not think that's going to be sufficient enough to help us out there?
I think that we need a big name back there in order to be able to fly around. I think he's good, but not great. I think that we're missing a great presence back there, kind of that safety net, that guy that we can count on that nothing's going to get over the top. I think that's what we're missing. We need that guy back there that's going to be able to make sure that the big play doesn't happen. I'm not sure that we have it. So our defense could, be playing really well, and it's always so frustrating when they get that one play over the top and they score. I'm afraid that we're missing that.
What do you think about the running back position? How do you think that's going to pan out this year? Do you think that they're going to be able to stay healthy? Because I feel like if they can stay healthy, those two, we have the best running back duo in the league.
Walker's dynamic, and Charbonnet just doesn't stop. So I agree. If they stay healthy, I think back to Walker's rookie year. You go watch what was the game I was watching? It was the Jets game in his rookie year where he just had a couple where he just ran away from them. So I see big things there if he stays healthy throughout the season. Also, with the offensive line should be improved, and with our three wide receivers, with the Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett, defenses are not going to be able to load the box against the running game.
No, that's going to
So
be tough. Yeah.
they're not going to have a stacked box they're running against. Otherwise, DK and Jackson Smith and Jigba are going to blow the top off defense. So our running backs should be good. They should have everything going for them in that vein. So if they can stay healthy, some big things. I really think the wide receivers give Geno Smith a chance to be a Pro Bowler again this year because Jackson Smith and Jigma, I think, is going to take a step in his second season. Just look at the stats he had at Ohio State in his second season. He took a huge step in his second year. I think that's going to happen again this year. I think he's going to get 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns going forward. So, and that's only going to make things easier for DK and Tyler as well, and with Jackson Smith and Jigba stepping up. So I see all three of them having decent, if not big seasons. And my hot take is Geno Smith's going to be a Pro Bowler again this year because with those weapons, it's hard to see him not being a Pro Bowler.
The biggest difference that I see with our running game is our offensive coordinator. Everywhere he goes, he develops offensive line that can block. That's what the Seahawks have been missing. He is a coach at every step of the way. He's made it to where they could run the ball and protect the quarterback. He is such a good offensive line coach and everything secondary to that. We have so much talent at wide receiver, so much talent at running back. We have a quarterback who's a veteran that he's not the most talented quarterback in the league. We all know that, but he's a game manager. He's not going to make very many mistakes as long as he's not on his back. So, if our line can take a step forward, which I think they take a drastic step forward this year, our running backs are going to be healthier because they're not going to be hitting as hard, and our quarterback's not going to be on his back as much, which is going to open up our wide receivers more. He's going to have more time to throw. He's going to have more time for reads, and I think that the most important thing with Mike Grubb is he's going to make our offensive line better. He's not necessarily some mastermind who's going to be coming up with every single, tricking defenses and everything like that. But he's going to make it to where we can run the ball and Geno Smith's going to have time to throw.
How was Mike Grubb with like screenplays and things like that?
He did somewhat. It's something that, to be honest, I don't remember how many screenplays they ran. But the thing is you had Penix and he could throw the ball, and it's college football and everything like that. And screenplays become so much more necessary when they're getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting to the quarterback. So if you're not having to worry about your quarterback being on his back and the defense rushing in and everything like that, and they were blocking, they were having to play pass protection, you didn't have to necessarily run as many screenplays. I feel like a screenplay is more effective if your offensive line isn't blocking appropriately on every play. So if we're able to run the ball and we're being able to pass it, a screenplay is not going to become necessary.
I think it will when you get in the NFL though, because there's going to be times where Geno's going to be on his back, and I really the reason why I asked that is because I think with our trio at wide receiver and a running back like Charbonnet in the backfield, you could really exploit, and then you could do some fake screens. I mean, and then there's a receiver wide open down 50 yards down the field. So I mean, I would be really cool to see Grubb because I feel like with the staff or with the players that he has and their talents and the speed that we have on the field on offense, that might be something that would be cool to take advantage of.
best thing for an aggressive defense is to run screens and draws. I mean, they can do that, and they have the tools to do it. You get Canine the ball out of the ball on a screen in open field, he's dynamic.
For sure.
Charbonnet is the same way. Smith and Jigba is the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, the tools that they have, Gino doesn't have to throw the ball very far with those tools. So,
And how do you guys see the Seahawks faring out this year as far as like a record?
as much as I want to say that they're gonna run away with the division, I think that they're an 11-win team, probably in the wild card spot would be how I see them right now. And that's just because I want to see how the defense molds. If Mike McDonald can get them playing defense like the Ravens were last year, that could go up. But new coach, new system. I'd say 11 wins. I think they're the division they play in. Some of the teams they play against are too strong to predict higher than that.
I believe 13 to 14 wins because I think that the 49ers are not going to be able to take advantage of us the way they used to. I don't think the Rams are that good anymore. And I think that the 49ers, I mean, or not the 49ers, the Cardinals are just the Cardinals. I don't think they're a very good team. I think the Cardinals win maybe 5 or 6 games. I see the Rams winning maybe 7 or 8. And I think the 49ers are finally going to hit a little bit of a slump, and they're probably going to win 10, 11 games. I don't think the 49ers are the force that they used to be. And I don't think that Brock Purdy, especially playing against Mike McDonald, is going to be able to perform. And I think that we win 13, 14 games.
I really think Mike McDonald's going to help. I've heard a lot of people predicting that the Seahawks are going to fall on their face this year, and I just don't see that. I mean, it's not like we're rebuilding like a lot of times that happens to teams when they get a new coach. And a lot of these players know this division inside and out already, and if anything, I feel like they underperformed last year, the Seahawks as a whole, based on the talent that we have. So I agree with Joe. I'm going to go with 11 wins on the season.
I think the Seahawks have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. We have one of the most dynamic coaches. And we have a good offensive coordinator that can help our offensive line. And if this all pans out, we wouldn't have moved on from Pete. He wanted to come back. If they didn't think that this was going to bring us to the next level, because we're not in those conversations, they would have brought Pete back. They wouldn't have gone after Mike McDonald and signed him after that. So I think that they know some things that we don't, and I think that he's more dynamic than what people realize. And I think the Seahawks, I think that they win the NFC.
The only thing I would really quickly add into that is I don't know that they knew that they were going to pick Mike McDonald, because I remember it was kind of a long, drawn-out process. I mean, you could definitely argue that maybe they just weren't revealing their hand until he was eliminated from the playoffs, but I do remember them being interested in some other coaches as well, including who was that, Johnson from Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would have been going the offensive way rather than the defensive way. But so I was glad we went with McDonald, obviously, but it felt like for a while there was some uncertainty.
Well, if McDonald can bring his defense and the offense can live up to the tools that they have, I mean, last year I kept thinking to myself that the Seahawks should be scoring more points than they are, with the weapons that they have all over the place. They should be scoring more. If they can live up to that with the defense, I think they have a good season, and it's something for us to look forward to.